So, welcome to Get Paid for Your Pet podcast episode 322 with Matt Malouf.
Yeah,
So, Matt,
yeah, good.
you have a pretty interesting story, man, when it comes to Airbnb. Because I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you got kicked off the platform at some point, right?
Yeah, a couple years ago, so it forced me to rechange and readjust strategies and all. But yeah, I was co-hosting with a business partner of mine in South America. So we had a couple of apartments that we had on Airbnb and such for some other clients and another business mostly. It was easier just to collect money and things from them and get that done. And what happened in the business culture in some countries is more, instead of trying to figure out how to raise up and fit and better your own business, they kind of nitpick and work at taking down your business. And so at some point, there were some complaints that were registered against our our accommodation, and then for whatever reason, Airbnb just shut us down without warning and refunded all of our guests that we had booked at the time. And it took a couple months of going back and forth, trying to figure out what had happened. And they basically had just said we had violated some of the terms of their agreement, or however. And so we were, summarily kicked off the platform. So we had to figure out a way to kind of readjust and redo our business strategy without Airbnb. And this was back in 2016. So it was a few years ago. And, just as Airbnb too was really picking up popularity amongst the entrepreneurial and real estate investor set. So it was kind of tough trying to be in some of these short-term rental discussions and groups without being on Airbnb myself anymore. And it was kind of embarrassing to talk about at first. And I didn't really even mention that until recently on your guys' private chat last week. So it was just kind of made me rethink and reevaluate what I wanted to do and what we were trying to do with our short-term rental business and business side of things, and how to continue on, say, without Airbnb. So I kind of already know how to do that from experience.
Right. Yeah. Right. So you're much better prepared right now for everything that's going on, because you're already set up all your own marketing, your own systems, and all of that. Can you give us a quick background on how you got started? Like, how many units are you running, and where you're based?
I currently live in Southern California, and I've got a couple of units in Central America, a condo hotel unit, and a couple of houses, small houses, and then a couple of apartments that we co-host and manage in South America. I've had my real estate license for about 14 years, and I really kind of see myself as a real estate entrepreneur and investor first, with some specialty and sub niche in short-term rentals and all. So that's kind of where I come from and how I see it. That everybody doing short-term rentals is really a real estate entrepreneur first and foremost. They happen to be specializing and niching in the short-term rental market. And then even more so, whether they're doing rental arbitrage, co-hosting, property management, and that. So I don't have too many units by all stretch, but I enjoy managing and working on the units that I do have, and I kind of have partnered with and subcontracted out a lot of the day-to-day work, because going through there are a lot of day-to-day minutia and work that I don't necessarily enjoy, but I was blessed to have some really wonderful partners that help me do those.
Got it. And so let's dive into today's topic, right? Which is Pinterest. Like you were talking about this in our inner circle. I think it was last week, and I was really impressed with the way that you were able to use Pinterest to drive bookings to your property. So I'd love to understand a little bit more about, first of all, like how do you set that up, and what are sort of the guidelines as to how do you actually drive traffic? Because I think just putting some pictures on Pinterest is not going to cut it. You need to have a strategy, a system, right?
Yeah, Pinterest is it's got about 200 million users, and they have 2 billion searches every month. So it's really a search engine, but it's a search engine that you start with words that gives you basically results in pictures and visual pictures. The reason it's called Pinterest, if you can think kind of back in the old school before the internet, really, you had these kind of cork boards in our kitchens and such that you put the thumbtacks on with your notes and pictures and things on it. It's kind of like the internet version of that. So you have pin boards of different things that you want. It started off, really grew up a lot on on gardening and recipes, and there's a
Mm.
lot of inspirational quotes and stuff up there. But we're looking at it like I always kind of look at things. What can I kind of borrow from other industries and import into what I'm doing to try and make it a little bit better? So Pinterest is basically like your own internet billboard for what you want to represent as either your personal interests or hobbies, or as an entrepreneur, what your business is about. And it's your sounding board to put up in a visual manner and a visual representation of what you have to represent. So um, what you can do is how you set up the name of your Pinterest account is important. So it should be ideally congruent with your Airbnb listing, what you kind of called your house. Like one example is we have a client that's Casa Colocha. So she has her Facebook as Casa Colocha, and then Pinterest related Pinterest boards. There's not too many, but there's a few on there. So if somebody's looking at Airbnb and they like the accommodations, they want to do more, they want to do a little more research on what it is, and they look that up, then they see the pictures and things on the Pinterest boards. And the Pinterest boards, you kind of look at it as a way for you as an ambassador of your local area, your local neighborhood, to sort of show people around, similar to Instagram, but Pinterest allows you to put up different SEO optimized pin boards of things to do, places to go, places to eat, and such, and put a kind of a visual picture story of what's going on. So what you want to do is kind of optimize there's like on your web page, a lot of browsers, especially Chrome, will have a thing where you can right click and save the picture.
Mhm.
If you see a little red icon that has a little P in there, that's Pinterest. So what you can do is you can automatically save that picture to your Pinterest board of something that you like. So what we noticed was there's a lot of people that as they're planning their vacation, before they select their accommodations, that they're looking for things to do, places to go, places to eat within their destination. So, let's say they're going to Playa Sayulita in Mexico, and they're looking for places to go and things to do and they're searching on the internet, and they find pictures of, nice seafood restaurants on the beach, horseback riding trails to do. They can take those and save those to Pinterest boards. And ideally, as an entrepreneur, that's what you want to do. So let's say if you're an entrepreneur in Playa Sayulita, Mexico, you want to have, a Pinterest board named, things to do in Playa Sayulita, Mexico, and then a bunch of pins or pictures in there. They could be ideally a lot of your pictures and pictures of outlying restaurants, of the horseback riding there is to do, of obviously your place. And one of those boards is just your place of Jasper's Casa and Playa Sayulita is the name of the board. So anybody searching Jasper Rivers will see that board a lot easier. And Pinterest shows up a lot in Google searches, but it's also designed for people using Pinterest, and it's smaller than Facebook and Instagram and such, but the audience is much more loyal and engaging and interactive. So the people that are already on Pinterest and already using Pinterest to find and search for stuff. So, they would search, my vacation summer 2020, and wherever they're going, start adding pictures of things to do, because a picture is worth 1,000 words. So if they have 20 pictures in there, it gives a much clearer representation of what they might want to do, where they might want to go. And if they keep seeing that you are suggesting things to do in there as the short-term rental operator, it becomes a lot easier to convert those clients, because they keep seeing you, they keep seeing what you have to offer and what you're recommending to places to eat and things to do. So we've noticed that helps a lot.
Awesome, man.
And
That sounds great. So let me try and understand this correctly, right? So Pinterest is essentially it's a search engine for pictures, just like Google. So let's say that I want to stay in your neighborhood, right? And so before I
Mhm.
book something, I want to see what is there to do, what are some cool restaurants and stuff. So I go on Pinterest, or even I go on Google and I Google like best
Or
things to
even go on
do
Google
in
and you look for that.
exactly. And then I find your Pinterest board and I see
Mhm.
pictures of the cool things that I can do in your neighborhood, some restaurants, some pictures of food and stuff like that. And so I
Mhm.
start clicking on those things, and then I notice like, hey, these pictures are all on the board that's called Matt's Mexican Dream House, and
Yeah.
then and then how do I go from finding you on Pinterest to actually how do I go from there to your listing and book it? Is there, can you put a link on your Pinterest photos, or do I then need to
Yeah.
take the name of your Matt's Mexican Dream House, and then I go on Google and find it, and that way I find your site?
Okay. Well, this is where a good description for your Pinterest account will come in handy. So you'll have a geotag link of where your business is at. You'll have a place to put in your website, and then talk about a little bit about your business and your house. You can
Mm-hmm.
also do that for each Pinterest board that you set up. So the things to do in Playa Sayulita, Mexico, by say Jasper Rivers, and then in the description for the board, you also make sure you have a link to your listing and or website or wherever you want to drive your traffic back to. So what's cool about Pinterest is when you're searching, Jasper's looking for his places to do in Mexico, and you find pins or pictures that are interesting, you can just click and save it to your own pin and to your own board. So you could have an idea like, Jasper's, July 2020 vacation, and you want to go to Playa Sayulita, Mexico, and you clicking and adding those pins to your board, and other people see those, then they find my information for my house or my casita, whatever I have, because you pinned my picture on there. So the more people that you have pinning your pictures out there, it always will link back to your account, not just Jasper's, but they might find it in Jasper's account, but then go back to my account that they see it at. And so if they like it and they contact you through there, oh, I saw you on Pinterest. Oh, great. Obviously you can always offer like maybe a 5 or 10% discount or something if they say they found you on Pinterest and things like that. But Pinterest allows you as a follower, let's say, you can follow somebody's account. So you can just follow, say, Jasper's Pinterest account and everything you put on, or they can follow just a particular board that you have, whether it's the board for your short-term rental, it's the board for what you recommend to places to go, what you recommend places to eat, to do, to tours and things like that. So, and this is where I was kind of suggesting in the Profit Club there that people should go out and interview their local business owners. Why? Because it'd be a great time. They have extra time, so you can actually meet with the owners of restaurants, of pest control places, of whatever tourist activities there are to do. And you can take pictures and video. You can put those onto YouTube. You can put them onto Facebook. But you can take the pictures and put them into your things to do, places to eat on your Pinterest board as well. And then you kind of SEO optimize and geotag the name of the picture. There's a thing called like alt tagging in the website where you can explain a description of the picture on your website. And what will happen is Pinterest pulls that description and automatically puts that as the description in your
Mm-hmm.
Pinterest board or somebody's Pinterest board. So if you kind of, it's a little more technical, but if you do that, set that up right, it makes it easier for people to find the pictures and things that you're putting out there and such. So you kind of like somebody's, looking for a place to go on vacation. They decided where to go. They're looking for things to do, place to eat, whatever it might be. And they're, there's a lot of dedicated users on Pinterest that are doing their vacation planning to some degree on there. So they find what you might have to offer. If it's not booked, it's a lot easier to convert those clients to go book at your place, or at least have that awareness so you can be at top of mind when they want to go book, or they recommend, say, hey, go look at this place. This is really cool, because then Pinterest also allows you to share boards where I say, oh, Jasper, look at this board I found of where you were interested in, and boom, I can just pin it right onto your account and such as well.
Interesting.
So it makes it a lot easier to really target the audience. And this is where kind of knowing your client, your avatar, who are you marketing to, whether it's, high-end families, backpacker types, whatever that might be, and what they're actually looking for and what kind of features and things that they think are important for them, what they're doing. So
Mm.
what you want to do is kind of help them make it easier to make memories. I think more so than hospitality, but you're kind of in the memory making business. This could be the one vacation they take all year with their whole family. And so the accommodation that you provide is going to be a big deal in helping make those memories good or bad. And either way, the ones that are kind of in the middle are not as big, but if you can help make it better, they remember that. And if you make it a little bit more difficult, they remember that and they're a little more vocal on it as well.
Sure.
Um, so that'll help. Let's see what else. And yeah, it's kind of some of the quick tips and tricks to get up and going. Pinterest is not very difficult to use at all. It's just a little tedious. So it just takes time to really, to name all the photos properly, to upload them, to sort of geotag them, to code them, and have the descriptions in and getting the description of your board, because you really want it keyword and SEO optimized. Both your pictures as much as possible, the actual name of the photo. If you're having it pulled from a website, having all the correct website descriptors and things in there, naming your board and then describing your particular board correctly as well, and then the board on your account. So the name of your account as well as the description of your account and what you're trying to do. So
Got it.
and then hashtags. Hashtags are really important to use as far as when you want people to share. You want them to share it as like hashtag Jasper's Place. So then you could better locate the hashtags across social media of what people are sharing about your place. So you always want to tell people to use a particular hashtag for your Pinterest account and such.
Interesting. And what I'm thinking is, if you go about and create all this content for Pinterest, then you can really easily repurpose that content to go on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. You could even if you have a direct booking website, you could even create a small blog and put that content out there as well, right? So you're hitting multiple avenues. Is that something that you're doing too?
I'm not doing it for myself, but for a couple of clients that we are. Your Pinterest kind of allows you to embed boards into other websites. It allows you to create a link shortener to then share either a particular picture or a board onto social media through Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and such. So you could share a particular board. Say, oh, if you're coming to Playa Sayulita in Mexico, here's a board of all the cool seafood restaurants that we like. And then boom, you can put that link up there, and it's a link shortener. So it'll track the links coming in and what you're doing.
That's awesome. So when you kicked off of Airbnb a couple of years ago, like how long did it take you to build this Pinterest strategy? How long did it take before bookings were starting to come in through that channel?
It took we didn't really start anything on Pinterest until probably summer of last year. It was just something I had noticed, when I'm doing Google searches on whatever research that I'm doing, Pinterest images and things kept kind of popping up. So it's kind of something I was like, okay, and I talked to my spouse who runs a social media marketing company, and I asked her about kind of, how you can do that, because she does it for real estate agents and real estate investors. We're thinking, well, couldn't we do it, say, as a short-term rental operator? And our niche is really specific and sub for backpackers and such. But we went to a couple of people and suggested, hey, can we do an experiment to, kind of see if we can get some traffic and such to your guys' websites? They're a lot bigger and have a little bit more properties and such that is optimized better for that. So we went to a couple of people and built up some Pinterest boards and things for them. And it takes about a week before you can start getting picked up on the search engines and showing up really on the first page of Google. You'll start showing up. So really, you're creating awareness and engagement, and using it as a broader marketing strategy to have the website, the Twitter, the Facebook, and direct booking and all that. It helps within probably about 2 months, a month to 2 months, depending
Mm.
on the market, where you get to see people who are seeing you on Pinterest and be more engaged to actually getting bookings on the site.
And so how does this Pinterest strategy fit into your overall marketing strategy, and what percentage of bookings do you think you're getting from Pinterest?
Pinterest, for me, we've only had maybe one or two. We've had like most of our bookings in South America are through a real estate investment and an immigration corporation that we owned. So they're basically people that are already coming into the country for other business activities, and we just have a place that we can offer them. That's kind of like a condo for a short-term stay to take care of what they need to take care of. It hasn't. It's helped kind of what you call it, convert the client more so than it is as a lead generator on that
Hmm.
end. So that's what's really helped for us as far as being able to quickly share a board or two with them, and they see that and kind of, oh, okay, now I know where you're at, what it is, and what to do, so we can book directly through them, because processing payments in some of these countries can be quite expensive. You're
Mm.
talking, you know, up to 10 to 15% in some of these Latin countries, because the banking systems are a little bit different than what we're used to here in the US as far as efficiency, currency conversions, and things like that. So, we can lose sometimes up to 30, or not lose, but it costs us sometimes 30% of our booking just to take the payment between the bank fees, the currency conversions, and all of
Right.
that. So it's a little difficult. And then when you're trying to be competitive with other listings and hotels and such, it really drives the cost down, because labor costs in those countries, as you know, is a lot lower. So kind of competing with certain local people can be a little bit difficult. So, um, but some of our clients, they do pretty well with the Pinterest as really as part of an overall strategy, either for awareness or further engagement
Yes, and
and such. So
I'm fully aware of the issues that you can run into with banking and everything in third
yeah,
world and second world countries, like in Egypt. For our boutique hotel that we have there, we only accept cash. Doesn't it's like going through banks and stuff. It's just
yeah, that's what we had to go to for a while.
right. Yeah. Yeah, man, it's interesting, and so I just want to go back to when you had when these issues with Airbnb started coming, when you lost that as a marketing channel. I can imagine that must have been a bit of a shock, right? Um, so how did you manage that, and like
Mhm.
what did you do to rebuild all those bookings? Because my understanding is you pretty much you have a pretty good occupancy all year round. So you're really getting most of your bookings through direct bookings and not through any OTAs, right?
Yeah, yeah. Our condo hotel in Central America is through a hotel resort, so they handle all of that, and that's just a completely different thing. We have a couple of houses in rural Central America that's it was very up and down on short term rentals on and Airbnb in particular. By the time we went through the fees and everything, it was like we were almost 50% at the cost, because we operate more of the much more affordable backpacker type, the people that are looking for very affordable accommodations and such. So that's our niche market there. And we were having a more difficult time. So what we had done is we partnered with a local NGO, non-governmental organization, nonprofit, that works with literacy for children in the area, and also runs a women's group and helps women in their entrepreneurial endeavors and such. So we partnered with them to basically get volunteers in there who didn't want to do the work away sort of free work exchange for accommodation platform, but they necessarily couldn't afford staying in a hotel there. So we were able to provide affordable, private, relaxing accommodations in more of a live like a local manner for them. And so we basically partnered with the NGO, and the NGO does all the marketing for volunteers. And then they have, some little stuff on their website and pictures. They're the ones that handle pictures for and Pinterest and everything for the whole village and the area and the country in general. And then try and bring in tourists. They call it voluntourism. They try and bring in the volunteers or people that come in to help with the literacy, the medical, or the women's entrepreneurial group. And then say, okay, this is the bank of houses that we have available and what each one costs. And so a couple of those houses are ours that people can then book. And we've gone through more of a midterm rental solution. So we go month by month, and that's worked better for us in Central America. In South America, we basically just make a Facebook page for the listings and then kind of list them for both short-term and long-term rent. Because in South America, there are some areas, it could take you 6 months or a year to find a decent, actually payable or decent rent-paying tenant. So we also market it on short-term rental, and usually through local Facebook ads and Facebook group posts. And say, hey, look, we've got this accommodation. Here's all the pictures, a little video walkthrough. This is kind of where in the neighborhood that it's in, a screenshot of the map with the area, the facade of the building. Most people know, be able to find that on a Google map search and things. And then what the accommodation is, how much it costs per night. And then we have a Airbnb link that we can use for that, or just book directly like through Facebook and such. So there's one of my business partners also uses Wix, because Wix has like a hospitality plugin now that you can use basically to do create listings directly on their webpage and take listings and directions through that. And it's a pretty good plugin from what I've seen. So
got it. We got a question from Jenna in the Airbnb Profit Club, and by the way, you can watch these podcast episodes live in the Airbnb Profit Club for the people that are listening on the podcast. So if you wanna ask some questions from the next week or in coming weeks in the podcast, go in the Airbnb Profit Club where you can watch this live. So Jenna is asking, this is a really good question. How do you track if the inquiry is coming from Pinterest? Because one of the things I noticed as well with our place in Egypt, we have a lot of social media because it's a kitesurfing hotel. And so we have lots of kitesurfing videos all over social media. And then when we get a booking, the only way for us to really know how that person found us was to ask them, hey, how did you find us? But do you have a way of tracking like what's coming through Pinterest?
Same thing. We just kind of ask them where they found us or where they saw us. And I'd say Instagram is probably the number one. Website search and on the web, and then Pinterest is kind of getting in there now as one of the platforms.
Right. And then a follow-up question from Jenna is, do you pay for the Facebook ads and do you post Facebook updates several times a week?
For my books and my business consulting, I pay for those Facebook ads, but for our accommodations, no, we don't. We have my business partner there handles all of that in Central and South America and such. So part of her daily plan is she has her Facebook links for our accommodations and just post those up. So we have a Facebook business page for the short-term rentals, and then there's a post, and then what she does is she shares the post to the various groups for that accommodation. It's kind of just a generic long-form sales of what kind of summarizes the Airbnb listing and such. But we try and move people off of Airbnb to either pay directly or pay when they come in because the costs are so high.
Got it. And by the way, I was on a mastermind call last week, and one thing that people were saying is that right now Facebook ads apparently are super, super cheap, especially outside of the US, because there's not a lot of people advertising right now. So apparently you can get incredible deals on Facebook ads right now.
Yeah. If you can get them approved. I've had like 3 of the last 5 ads that I've done have all been declined or needed to be modified because of it looked like you're advertising for housing and such. I'm like, it's a book. I'm advertising for a book. It may have real estate investing in the title, but it's not an advertisement for a housing. And that's like Facebook's algorithm that's kind of looking at words within the images and such, because that's Google is really at the forefront of that, where
Mhm.
they're able to actually read words off of images. So ninja tip: if you can go through and put in either a hashtag or a particular name or a social media tag into your, like, embedded onto the actual picture itself, and that's what you put on
Mhm.
social media, and that's what you put on Pinterest and everything, then no matter where that picture goes or ends up, it has either your website or your Twitter or Facebook handle on the bottom embedded on the photo itself. And so that's really what you want. There's programs that can do that. There's VAs that can do that. There's services that can do that. But no matter where your picture sort of gets sent out on the internet, it'll somebody will still be able to find it or find where it came from.
Right. And when you say embed, what does it mean exactly? Does it mean that you put like a little watermark on the photo?
Yeah, on the bottom with your website, your social media handle, or whatever it is. So then that
Right.
way, Google is really the best at it, but they're working on how to search text within images and then
Mm.
text within our words and text within videos. So that's like what
Right.
they're doing now is like kind of the full censorship on the COVID on YouTube and such. So you don't ever have to put COVID anywhere in your descriptions or anything. If you just mention it or coronavirus in your video, it can get automatically tagged for demonetization and stuff.
Mm. Got it. So if I put images out of our place in Egypt, I should always put the brand our brand is Play Kite, and so I should always put that in small text on the photos and in the videos, so that
Yes.
okay,
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
anywhere it goes, you think anybody sees that Instagram image, they see it on Pinterest, wherever they share it or wherever it is, nobody really has to go search for it. Like, oh, where did that image come from? Where'd it go? Oh no, right there. Play kite.
Mm.
What's that?
Right.
Play kite. Throw play kite in Google, and there it goes.
Interesting. Right. That's awesome. That's good to know. I'm gonna definitely pass that on to my business partner.
So yeah,
Um,
so all of your pictures going out, depending on if it's for the podcast, for your Egypt place, for your Colombia place, or whatever it might be, you have that where you want whoever sees that picture where you want them to go, whether it's your website, your social
mm.
media, your kind of whatever. You embed it as a watermark or something down on the bottom of the picture.
Sweet man, sweet. Well, that's really useful information. Well, we've been going for over half an hour already. This is really interesting stuff, man. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing. I know you have some books out there on Amazon and stuff. You want to mention how people can find you?
Yeah, if you go on to just Amazon.com, you can put in my name, Matt Malouf. Short-term rental success stories from the edge. We've got volumes 1, 2, 3, and 4 out on paperback and Kindle. I try and put them for free on Kindle every couple months for a few days and such, just to kind of get the word out. They're mostly compilation books, so you can think of them as like chicken soup for the soul, for inspirational stories for short-term rental entrepreneurs. So if you want to be a super host, an Airbnb Plus host, Jasper and Eric are like the people to talk to. They'll tell you how to get all of that stuff done and do it great. If you're looking for like inspirational stories on entrepreneurship from a bunch of different entrepreneurs all throughout the Airbnb space or short-term rental space, great books to pick up. You can get through all of them in under an hour, hour and a half. So that's sort of my brand on the books, is just something that people can pick up for quick, easy, digestible reading. Most of them are on audiobook as well. I gave you a couple of free links if you want to pass those out to whoever. Um, they're under 2 hours on audiobook, and all. And it's just a kind of a great source of inspiration.
Sweet man, that's awesome, man. I really appreciate that. So if people are listening, if you have questions for Matt, Matt's very active in our Airbnb Profit Club. He's always sharing lots of interesting stuff. So I'm sure if you go in Airbnb Profit Club and you tag Matt, then he'll probably he'll answer your questions. I'm sure. Um, All right. Well, this was fun, man.
Can I
This
throw
was
out can I
interesting.
throw out two more tips?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, keep them going. Keep them coming.
Okay. Yeah, this doesn't have to do with social media marketing or anything like that, but um, two resources I think everybody should consider is bni.com, which is Business Networking International. They're a great uh, networking site for local entrepreneurs, and they only accept one professional from each sort of category that they have. So as a short-term rental operator, you can kind of be in the real estate, kind of be in the hospitality segment, depending on how you market yourself to them and such. But the whole point is to meet once a week in person, usually for breakfast on a weekday, to talk about the local happenings in the area and really cross refer people. And it's a great place to find like-minded entrepreneurs to really help grow your business in particular. After this whole COVID thing is done, it'll be going back to face, so you get that personal interaction and such. And they're really great source for just helping run your business as a business and have a network of people that can help you out. Because I'm real big on community and networks. Um, Another one is I think to reach out to you or to join your local chamber of commerce and be one of those short-term rental professionals, especially if you're operating multiple units, more than six or seven, if they're all within a certain geographical area. I think being in your chamber of commerce really adds a certain level of professionalism to yourself and the industry as well, and such. And there's, they, nobody was really doing it a few years ago, and I've seen a few more chamber of commerce members now throughout California here, at least, kind of on that are short-term rental operators, and they're obviously property, more property managers. But I think the smaller entrepreneurs could benefit from that as well.
That's awesome. Can you repeat the name? It was BNI.
Yeah, uh, B is in boy, N is in Nancy, I is in Ida.com for Business Networking International. So you just type in your zip code, you find a local chapter, and they're worldwide. So whether you're in the U.S., Canada, Europe, and such, it doesn't matter. Usually it's like $300 to $600 per year is the annual membership, and then $10 to $20 per week for your breakfast and such, whatever they go. And they usually meet at like a local coffee shop or local restaurant for breakfast, and then each week a couple of people will give presentations on their business and their industry, what's happening, what they're seeing, good and bad, and such like that. So at some point in the year, you'll have the opportunity to be spotlighted at least once or twice on your business and or your industry, and get positive feedback on both presentation skills and then and networking and such as well. So it's yeah, I think BNI is an invaluable resource for small businesses and entrepreneurs and such.
That's awesome, man. Well, thank you for sharing that. What was number two?
Number two was join your local chamber of commerce.
Oh, that was number two.
And chambers of commerce are, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Number two was join your local chamber of commerce, and they're all over the world as well. Just to find and promote entrepreneurism and business and good business practices and such. And it's a good way to network into a group of local businesses and entrepreneurs. And it's also a great source to then look for people to interview for your small business and your short-term rental business to then market and promote. Because then if you start making Pinterest pin boards of their businesses, people that are looking for their businesses, places to eat, things to do, and things, then can find your business a lot easier as well. So then you can get those warmer leads coming in. So kind of everything sort of goes back and cycles back and turns around on each other. So it's part. Pinterest is a great task within a broader strategy marketing plan.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, and I think one of the reasons I was really looking forward to talking to you is given what's happening in their space right now, I think a lot of people are starting to realize that being on the Airbnb or just being on the OTAs is is not necessarily ideal, especially when something happens like this crisis that we're in right now. So I think right now the people that are still getting a lot of bookings They're thinking outside of the box, right? They're doing different strategies. They're not just relying on the OTAs right now. And so I think that's people are. This is like a what will make people realize that there is a different strategy that you can use. You have your own marketing strategy, have your own website, use all these social media channels, etc. So I think a lot of people are going to be starting to, looking to do that. So we're definitely planning to create a lot of content around marketing, direct bookings, and all of that in the next couple of months. So so yeah, maybe we'll chat again. But I just want to say thank you for sharing everything.
Yeah, there's
Thanks for being in our inner circle. You're always very active and contributing, so we really appreciate that.
sure. Thanks for having me on. It's one of the few podcasts that I listen to regularly that would be great to be on. So I'm very happy, very thankful that you asked me
Awesome.
to be here.
Sweet, man. Well, thanks a lot. And to the listeners, thanks for listening. And again, if you want to actually be live on these podcasts and ask questions, simply join the Airbnb Profit Club, where you can every Monday at 10 a.m. you can and Thursday at 10 a.m. as well. We're doing 2 a week right now. You can see me or myself and Eric live doing these podcasts, and we're also putting them on YouTube. So on YouTube, you can listen to it, but you can also see the actual interview. You can see the actual faces and all of that. So, all right, thanks everybody for listening or watching, and we'll see you on Thursday.
Thanks. Have a good one. Thanks, Jasper.